Greetings and salutations. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on this big planet of ours. My name is Doc Skinner, and it's the Doc Skinner Podcast. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Got a really great show for you. I got two amazing gentlemen as guests. I've known these guys for years. I love them. They're just brilliant. So we're going to spend a little time, and they're going to talk about what's going to be going on when they are up at the Disclosure Experience 2025. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John DeSousa and Mike Barra.
Oh, so John gets top billing. Okay, all right. I know how this works. I see how this is working.
Well, I'll flip it later.
Mom had her favorites too, and I guess John is yours. How's it going, boys? How are we doing? Looking forward to this big thing. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, so what have you guys been up to recently?
Well, me personally, I was just at Mel Carmine's Quantum Summit 2.0 in Florida. That was about 2 weekends ago, 3 weekends ago. And it was a great event there. We talked a lot about XRP and currency resets and aliens. And, you know, my thing was everything. My kind of new line is everything is either money or aliens. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now is everything revolves around money and aliens.
That's a really good way to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, everything that if you look at any political event, John, and I know we're going to agree on this, it's always going to come back to one of two things, either money or aliens. It's one of those two. And, you know, I had a wonderful time.
That's the next book.
Right. Well, if I do another one, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like writing right now. That would be, Ancient Aliens and the Deep State would be the title of that one. But I once got told if you write that book, you can write it, but you won't be alive 3 months later. So go ahead and write it. But, you know, so anyway, so I did that. And I went to L.A. to see my friend's U2 tribute band, Hollywood U2, one of their last American shows. They're going to head off to Europe now for 5 or 10 years and build things over there. That was bittersweet. I went to L.A. and I'm going to L.A. next weekend after this for the Alien event coming up with, what's his name? Brad Olson, Dave Farman, and those guys. And it'll be a nice trip back to Los Angeles for me. I haven't been there now in 2 weeks. So it'll be fun to get back to my old haunts again.
30 years ago, did you guys ever think that you'd be doing what you were doing now? You know, putting the truth out there.
Well, I know we should let John talk, but I want to answer that question right away while I got it in my head. Look, I was just looking through some stuff. I had a kind of a row with Bill Mooney, who was Will Robinson in the original Lost in Space, right? And
no way.
He's a producer. You know, he's a producer of Ancient Aliens, or you know, he was, or he is, or I don't know. And I met him at AlienCon in 2019. The whole crew was there: Mark Goddard and Bill and Angela Cartwright and Marta Kristen, and I got to meet everybody that was still living, and it was just really great. And I also met David Duchovny there, and I was like sitting there thinking, if you had told me when I was 12 years old that you get to talk about aliens in like on the with Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM, I didn't know who Art was then, but you know, that kind of thing. You're gonna hang out with all the people from Lost in Space. Bill Mummy, Will Robinson's gonna know who you are when you walk in the green room and say, "Hey, Mike, great to see you," and be really cool to you. And also meet Captain Kirk, Bill Shatner, and you know, all that stuff. If you told me that, I would have been like, hey, all of my 12-year-old dreams have come true, except one of the things I wish I dreamed for then, John, would be to be rich on top of that.
No, right?
So it just reminded me, that, you know, yeah, I mean, it's amazing where I'm at and the things I get to do. And even though Bill doesn't approve of me now because I support Trump, well, bummer, because Bill, you're going to find out, like everybody else, you're going to find out what's what in these next few years. And it couldn't be more exciting for me.
Yeah, I am just rejuvenated this year. I am just so pumped. It's like, you know, that everything is supposed to be in a 7-year cycle. I feel like I'm at the beginning of a new 7 year, and I'm stoked for this year. So John, what about you? Did you, I mean, your book, your not book, your off-duty book, or what was it called? The acronym?
Notebook.
Off the book notebook. Okay.
Yeah. It was the OTB book that was taken basically by some retired FBI agents that wanted to go to to Los Angeles, Hollywood studios to be consultants, and that's what they did. And they went and they took a lot of my material. I'm sure that Mike could tell you a lot about this particular topic of when we get our, because we put out so much IP. I mean, we put out so much IP over years and years, whether you're talking books, films where we consulted, television shows where we put out so much material that ultimately Hollywood is a giant theft machine. It's a giant theft machine, and it steals so much of our IP and uses it in their shows, in their television shows, in their many things. I've had Hollywood people who get together with me and talk to me, and then they just have me provide them material as as we're getting ready to put together a show, and then they just steal everything from me and they just go off on their way.
Dude, that is
the same experience.
Yeah, I was watching a Will Ferrell movie. I forget which one it was, but he was up there on this rant, and he starts telling these jokes to people. He's trying to offend them, right? And so he tells my joke, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Let's see who wrote this script. And I go through, and I had written a script. I had an agent there for a while, and I wrote some movies for them, and they didn't get funded, but it's like I go through and it turns out that, he had the same agent that I submitted the script to with that joke in it. They liked that joke. They took it out and they just stole it. And it's like, I realize you're not going to get a screen credit, right? You're not going to get a screen credit for a single joke, but according to the rules, it's like, I think they had to pay me $1,500 or something for using my joke in the movie. No. And you're like, really? You can't just pay a guy $1,500 so he can say, by the way, that was my joke in that movie, and I got paid. Here's my check. No, they can't do that. No. They have to steal everything.
Right.
And it's a hypocrisy.
Right. And I'll tell you, Mike, the reason they steal the material, and I'll tell you another example. There's a show on NBC. I couldn't say this if this wasn't true. There's a show on NBC called Manifest. It's an excellent show that deals with some topics that have never been dealt with ever before, namely the clairaudient reality of the universe, the great voice, all of these topics that they got from my book, The Clear Hearers. And basically, when they started that show, what they did was, as they often do in Hollywood writing rooms, they just start with a pile of books in the middle of the desk. And they say, okay, which of these books are we going to use the ideas from? And then they give summaries of each book.
Yeah.
They pass
and
them
most
around.
of these guys,
everybody's trying to have originality.
Yeah, and most of them have no talent either.
They have no talents, no ability except parasitic. That's all they have, is that parasitic ability to take somebody else's work. And so they took basically my book, The Clear Hearers, and they used entire scenes from my book in the show. They use all kinds of material from my book, and the basic central concept of the show is also taken from my book, the Clear Hearers, and it's done very well. By the way, it's done extremely well, and that's why the show is very effective and it's very good. But they'll never give me. But shortly after it came out that they did steal that entire show from my book, the head writer, what do you call it, the showrunner, who's also the writer, creator. Yeah, who's Chris also Carter. The creator of the show. Yeah, he was asked shortly after that was discovered, where did you get the ideas for Manifest? Where did they come from? And he said, and he was ready. He said, oh, well, no, I came up with the ideas for Manifest 10 years ago. And I wrote them all down and I got them. And I've been trying to get this show made for 10 years. Well, if you look into the chronology of it, he was like a college freshman in college 10 years prior to that statement being made. So I would say it's impossible that he was able to develop that level of sophisticated ideas for that show at the time. But
especially when you're young and stupid and drinking beer and going to keggers.
You're not thinking about writing scripts. For shows. Exactly.
Well, you might be thinking about it, but you aren't doing it, John. You know that.
Exactly.
There's other cases too, like there was a guy who sued U2 over the guitar solo and aspects of this song called The Fly from Octung Baby. And he went all the way to court, right? And it's like they play this segment, and this guy had sent these demos and had actually been at Interscope Records, which was, guess what, U2's record company. And you go through it, and they play his recording from 1989, like 2.5 years before they recorded this song, and it's exactly line, measure for measure, the exact same guitar solo as the Edge came up with, and the judge rules it's not the same. And I'm like, how can you say it's not the same? So the whole system is so corrupt, and they paid the judge off. It's like, couldn't you just get, you guys are worth more than $1 billion. Couldn't you just give the guy $100,000 or pay his mortgage off or something and say, yeah, we must have just accidentally heard that while somebody else was playing his demo, and it inspired me. I mean, so this whole corrupt culture has to be taken down, this entertainment culture, Doc, and we have to replace it with something newer and better and fresher and more honest.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly. And, and I said all that to say basically that this sort of thing, it just happens all the time. And we're so used to it that it's kind of like it's par for the course. It's part of what we have to deal with all the time. But because of that system and others is the reason why, going to your original question, Doc, 30 years ago when I was working for the federal government and I was totally subsumed with that world, I never for a moment thought that we would all be here in this situation where our own government basically was weaponized against the people of the United States, against all of us, whether it's through taxes, through regulation, through an illegal income tax, through illegal regulations, as far as I'm concerned, that touch us in every area of industry where we have worked, and where generally the government has just considered us enemies of the government for no particular reason. I never would have dreamed that I would be in the situation where I would be on the other side of the fence, so to speak, fighting for the rights of the people, which is how I see it. Because what's been going on here has been, it's basically the bureaucratic Roman government working hard against the plebs, the plebiscites that exist, and it's an intolerable situation.
Did you say plebiscites?
The plebs, that's
plebs.
what the Roman,
it's
the Romans used to call the people.
Military school, we were plebs and for 6 weeks. And
it's John. It's interesting.
You went to West Point. What's happening?
No, I went to Marine Military Academy in Harlingen, down in Texas.
Ooh, wow, that's almost as good. Wow,
I went to school with all the cartel members' children.
Wow,
because it was their excuse to cross the border. Their kid was in school.
John, it's interesting you make that comparison, because I've always felt like the historic comp for Trump was Caesar. And Caesar was this wealthy private citizen who stood with the common people because he could see how corrupt the Roman Republic had become. And you look at the deep state, they're the Optimates or the Optimates, whatever you want to call them, and trying to make him into a public enemy. The only thing we haven't seen is their Pompey the Great yet, that they brought out of retirement to go after him. Maybe it'll be Barack. Maybe we'll see that in the next 4 years. But all the battles are almost identical historically, and it's actually weird to look at.
It's like a playbook that keeps being used over and over again.
Yeah, and I have a similar historical comp for Trump, which would be the man who was the king of Babylon, king of Babylonia, the Babylonian Empire, which was Cyrus at that time, who was used by God to destroy entire nations. He wiped them off the map, including Israel for a period of time. And then they put out statements from God that basically said, I don't care how the Israelis, how much they consider Cyrus an evil man. God said to them, I choose to use Cyrus as my strong right hand. And who are you to tell me I can't do that? I can use anyone I want. And that's why, because Cyrus was largely considered a very bad person, who committed a lot of violence against a lot of nations. And
well, if you're one of the countries that got wiped off the face of the earth, I can understand that you would view him that way. Yeah,
exactly. And Israel did too for a short period of time under Cyrus. But God said that was his plan in order to chasten, to punish, to chastise Israel, and that Cyrus was his instrument for that purpose. And so because of that, and because Cyrus was largely considered a very bad person by the majority of the world, that's why they compare him to Trump now these days, because there's a large portion of the world that considers Trump a very bad person, as he steamrolls other nations. Very similar in a manner to how Cyrus used to do it, except Cyrus used to kill them, but Trump is just subjugating.
Yeah, there is economic subjugation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Canada. So I love Mike Myers' T-shirt. Canada is not for sale. Okay, well, when we cut off your $238 billion, it will be. That's all he has to do. He's just say, "Well, no more aid for Canada. Bye." Yeah, come back to us when you guys are ready to talk about, selling.
I think we need to pass a law to ban all entertainment from politics.
That's like a toddler. That's like a toddler saying, I don't need my milk. I don't need my Wawa from my mom. I don't need it.
I'm not eating my vegetables.
I'm going to be independent. Yeah. It's like a toddler saying that. That's ridiculous.
We are a little off track.
If you look at the geopolitical realities of it, it's insane. Canada cannot exist without the extreme and constant largesse of the United States of America.
That is correct. Welcome to America, Canada. Welcome. So let's talk about this weekend thing. We got some exciting stuff coming up there in Sholo.
Hey, we have exciting stuff. Hey, we got Disclosure Experience 2025 by 1028 Productions with Doc Skinner at Sholo, Arizona, and it's going to be from May 2nd, Friday, to May 4th, Sunday, with El Barra, the person who is known in legend and in myth as El Barra. And then there is also Laura Eisenhower, the inimitable Laura Eisenhower. And you're going to have me, John DeSousa, the X-Man, and we'll also have Tom Reed, the abductee, the very well-known abductee as well. That's going to be very wild. And what's going to be so great about this weekend is that we will be, as I have been informed by the magnificent El Barra and Laura the Eisenhower, is that we are going to be having both opportunities to have long form presentations and short form presentations in various forms. We'll be having our books there, of course. We'll be hopefully me and Mike will be having some debates, some very nice, succinct debates. I was hoping to do respectful and loving, and yet also very I forgot what that word is.
Engaging.
That's it. That's it. You're DeSousa. They don't call you Doc DeSousa Skinner for nothing. Okay, and also I was hoping to debate also possibly with Mike do the fake moon landings as well.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah, I'm down for that. Those two videos right there. If Doc, you got to videotape those two debates. Those will sell like hotcakes afterwards. So.
I would love to do that with Mike. Yeah. I think that would be the perfect place to do it. And I was also hoping, depending on how things go, I would love for Mike to do for us and with all of us participating, his Toxically Masculine Tuesday as well. I thought that would be a great thing.
Sounds like you want to get invited to TMT, John.
And I would want to be considered the primary toxic male
most
on
toxic
on his panel. And if we could find some other toxically masculine men as well,
all right.
Of course, we'll have to go according to the audience. We'll have to see how the audience.
We could do a special live stream. I do plan on doing some live streams for these events. And Doc, I just want to tell you. Go ahead.
And we'll have the Yukon Jack or whatever swill you guys drink during the toxically masculine Tuesdays. I don't remember what it is.
I drink
but
Sambuca. I'm drinking Sambuca. It's a Puerto Rican whiskey. It's delicious.
oh,
Anyway, go ahead, Doc.
okay. Which will be incredibly funny because I'm not a drinker, and I have very big I have huge contempt for large alcoholic drinks of that kind. So that should be very interesting for me to participate in that. So yeah,
we'll have the dance floor.
Yeah, we are going to have a dance floor. Doc, why don't you tell everybody what the plans are for these weekends? These are different. It's not a typical conference. There's not this wall between us and the audience. We're all there. It's a small party. It's only a few people, and it's complete access. We are going to still have the presentations and the panels and things like that, but we're going to do some extraordinarily different things and really spend the whole 2.5 days together, really, right?
Yeah, and how it'll be 4 speakers each weekend, different 4 speakers every weekend, with 20 new guests. And the whole point of this, it is different. I always like to think outside the box. Was that when you guys do these big events, people will spend, if not thousands, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars traveling, getting a hotel, getting the pass or the VIP pass to the event, being in lines, buying swag, getting in line just to get a photograph or an autograph. It's not. I didn't want to do that. Let me do that. It's not that intimate. People nowadays, you show them a picture of you and a celebrity, and they're like, "You paid for that." But
yeah,
what if you had the opportunity? And also, waiting in line to ask a question. People get nervous, they freak, and then they don't ask the right question, and they're like, I wish I asked that. This breaks down those walls and those barriers between you and the audience. These 20 VIP guests will have all weekend to have breakfast, lunch, barbecue dinner, sitting under the stars, practicing yoga, learning meditation, remote viewing. Everybody's going to bring a little something special because I'm letting these speakers have free reign. They get their half day with the 20 guests. If they want to go hiking and look at petroglyphs, they can do that. We sell out every one of the tickets. We're hoping to get by a bus. So if you guys want to do extra road trips, we'll be able to do that at ease. There's a beautiful area up here. One of the largest certain kind of pine tree, and I just went blank on it, but in the world, largest pine tree forest of this pine tree.
Douglas fir, probably, right? Douglas firs?
Something, yeah. I feel bad. I should know that.
There's a lot of nice trees in Arizona. We know that. Yeah.
Yes, we have these things called seasons too, but people down Phoenix and other areas, they don't understand. But it is a beautiful location, and the ranch is a privately owned ranch that they've been gracious enough to let us utilize. And there's a large pond where elk. The most I saw one morning was 50 elk all around the pond, and it's one of their drinking sources. So I don't know how it's going to be with 20, 30 people there with staff and whatnot. But I'm sure in the mornings, if we're quiet and we go out for coffee, we might see a few. So that's a beautiful thing, and it's really off the beaten path, and it's very isolated. So if someone wanted to do screaming therapy, you could do that. I mean, we would call the guys next door. Hey,
right. Let's get some night vision goggles and invite the aliens to show up too. That's another thing.
I got my Psionics camera, my color night infrared.
Some night watch stuff. Maybe a Bigfoot will show up too. You don't ever know.
And someone said they suggest maybe talk to the junior college and see if they have some telescopes that we could utilize, for an evening or so. But it's going to be so unique, and I am so looking forward to. I see you guys at other conventions, and it's kind of around the same. You guys change it up, of course, after a month or two. It's always changing, but it's just you guys are stuck with an hour. You stand here, you can walk here and here, but that's about it for the spotlight guy. And then you go down, you sit at your booth. You've got this barrier, and you get to sign stuff. These people, they're going to remember that, but this is just I call it exclusive inclusive. or inclusive exclusive. Yeah, the other way. Because it's the whole, these 20 people are going to bond with these speakers because they're going to have an experience that no one else will get to ever have. Like the people that go up on the Blue Origin rocket. Isn't that the Amazon guy? Blue Origin?
Yeah. That's what's one of them.
So those people, they bond. They get to experience something together. And I've spoken to speakers and they say, man, I just never have enough time to say all I want to say.
Exactly.
I'm always being rushed off stage for the next person.
Yeah, they give you an hour, and I'm like, I can't even get through the background in an hour, right? On the Kennedy thing, come on, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the other thing is you know, you might get in depth in your speech and you forget to keep in track, and you're like, oh man, I got more on the Apollo, but they cut you off. Not as bad as the first time. Now, John, you weren't here for this. The very first Disclosure Con. Mike's up on stage, right? I'm running the whole show by myself, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And all of a sudden, he's about to reveal something because I told everybody, bring something that's new, never been heard before. He's about to reveal it, and the stage and everything, all the electricity and power goes out. And you hear somebody in the audience go, they don't want you to know.
The hell, yeah, exactly.
And I'm running, and there was this person who did a podcast, and they were back in the green room interviewing Travis Walton, and she had lights and stuff. So she started unplugging all the lights, and she unplugged the main cord to everything on the stage.
Oh my goodness!
And yeah, so yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a fun event. That was fun. Well, it's okay. You know, Disclosure Cons were great, and they kind of established Sholo as a place to come for this kind of thing. And let's just get it. You know, I'm just anxious to get there and get it built and have these. I mean, this is exactly what I want. Is just to pick a few of my favorite people like Laura and John and Tom, and just go in really, really great depth. You know, and we don't need the electricity. If it goes out, it's not a problem, Doc, because there's so many things we can talk about.
It's May and June, the perfect months of the year before monsoon and after winter. So it'll be really nice, clear skies, and the stars are so beautiful without any of that light pollution around. It's just gorgeous. It's a good 25-minute ride from the hotel. But the hotel is because we want to make sure everybody's pampered. So, I mean, there's bunk beds and stuff, but there's not a lot of privacy. And not a lot of enough beds. So, hotel it is. And then we'll just be picking everybody up in the morning and bringing them back at the end of the night. And, of course, if anybody needs to get back, we'll have a card.
Am I going to buy drinks for everyone who comes to my party? Well, I suppose, you know. I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the drinks are going to be in there included. I don't know. Is that true?
No. It's open bar.
Open bar. So
yeah.
Drinks are included. What about food?
Drinks, all meals. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and barbecue. I'm trying to get the mayor of Sholo to come out and cook because he has a barbecue company. So we'll see if we can do that. And that covers you guys. It covers the ranch, the bus we got to get. So it's a pretty good deal in comparison to other things where you spend a lot more, and most of the times you're really frazzled because you're impatient waiting in line, or you don't have enough for this or that. And here it's just you're just hanging out. I mean, these people are going to experience what we do with each other all the time, just sit and chat.
We got to get those
minds.
We got to get the barbecue guy out there because I'm doing a second weekend in June, I think 13th, 14th or something like that. And I'm going to be there with JJ Ainsworth and
look at that.
And Brooks Agnew and Marina Sarin from Spain. And I asked her, like, well, you know, what kind of restaurants do you like? You're going to come to Vegas and visit me. We're going to come up together and all that stuff. And she said, ribs. I really want to try American ribs. That's the thing she's looking, you know, a Spanish girl, young girl. She wants to. So let's get that barbecue out there just for Marina on that weekend. Yeah,
we will.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, June 6th through the 8th, correct.
She wants to try the ribs, so that will be fun.
Yeah,
it's another good
definitely. We'll document it for sure. I've been very blessed to get some great speakers. And Brad Olson was on night before last, Tuesday. David Rodriguez, I'm working to get him on, as well as Tony Rodriguez. Had Patrick Ryan on. Brooks, I love you guys because you're my alumni.
Yeah,
you guys
true.
have been with me through thick and thin.
That's true.
And I just adore you guys. So everything I do, first ones I call. I'm interested in Daryl James's story and Lily Nova. Mike Mazzala, I got to meet with him 2 weeks ago down in the valley with Christopher LaPrath, and really nice gentleman. Gonna have him in there as well. It's just, Travis Walton, Quincy Roser, who's known as Dark Hour Paranormal. Of course, Jim Goodall. He's going to be doing a second one because he's going to be talking about his adventure in South America to Belize, where they found all these pyramids that were hidden. And then Ben Chastain will join us for the final weekend.
Oh, so, that's nice. You got Ben to show up. Ben's a good guy. He's fun.
Oh yeah. He emceed the last Disclosure Con, actually.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
And then before that, I had him and Rob. They came out. So good guys. And I love how they do their research. They get down and dirty, and they got the receipts. I admire that in them and you guys, how you put all this stuff together for books. I am going to attempt a book this year. It's gonna
good for you.
Everybody else, all my friends have got a book except me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to work on that. And then of course, movies coming up, which you guys, I would love to have you in the film. We'll throw you in with crowd scene or something. No. This is what I would love to have you guys play, because I think it'd be hilarious. I have Easter eggs throughout my film, Fly the Rise of Jet Parker. All right. And I think it would be just bomb diggity if they're like the school teachers at the high school, people at the iFly facility are all of you guys. I'll
be a school teacher. Yeah.
It's nothing but ufologists and researchers just doing a little cameos and no one knows it.
That sounds great. So
yeah, it's a great trip. It's down the valley. It'll be at the Talking Stick. That iFly there. iFly is 100% on board, so that saved me about a lot of money. And the best way to promote it is the facilities, and so it's the perfect target market, and they've got them all over the world. So I know opening night will be good. And the soundtrack, oh my God, this just happened yesterday. I thought I had a kid. The soundtrack for Fly the Rise of Jet Parker is now on our website for the world to hear. They can't download it, they can't copy it, but they can stream it. And the music is amazing. Can you hear it?
No, I can't. No.
Oh, you can't? Okay. Don't worry about that. But that's on the 1028.com page. And it's 9 songs of all different variety. And I've been waiting over a year to just share it with somebody, But now everything going hopefully the way I want it to. We'll be filming in either July or August. And it's going to be a hoot. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. But what kind of things do you guys have planned? What do you have up your sleeves? John?
For me, I really am very anxious to do to do an updated version of this course I've always taught forever, which is Power Investigation, 101. Power Investigation 101. It's the main course I have taught over the years, but it needs to be given to a modern audience with modern events happening right now.
Modern thinking.
And it's just teaching people the basic systems of investigation that I've taught, even going back to the FBI when I was teaching it as a legal advisor to FBI agents on just how to do basic investigations, because people don't really know. People don't know what real evidence means in a legal form that can be introduced into court, and that is at least eligible for that. And people just don't have any idea, because that whole area of evidence has basically been taken over by science, and then they're dictating what is real evidence and what is not. And that's a complete wrong-headed approach to an area with by fact finders who are not investigators. They are fact finders. And so that's the major thing I want to do in both long and short forms in some way, to teach this course again, with modern events being instituted in there. And also we need to get all of our areas to shorter forms, which has more of a like a coaching vibe to it, where it's more intimate, where we can teach it to smaller groups on more closer to a one-on-one kind of situation, kind of like workshopping type situation. But workshops are always very hard to do with the large audiences that we always deal with.
If you want, we could set up a crime scene for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. But unfortunately,
well, I'll tell you what, John. I'll do the Kennedy thing. I'm sure you've seen me do it before, but there's more to it now. There's more information that wasn't there. So let's talk about the ultimate crime scene, the Kennedy assassination, and let's go over everything I think I know and everything you know, and that'll fit right in, kind of. I mean, that would be really fun to do.
Oh yeah, that's the sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing you do as practical application of very basic exercises under a new sort of rubric that you go after in this area. And yeah, that'd be a perfect situation, because basically modern society today, with the cabal up to all their old tricks that they have been doing forever, basically everywhere you look conceptually, there's a crime scene, unfortunately. And one of the most basic examples of that, which I'll be discussing with Mike later on, is also the fake moon landings. The entire all of NASA, as far as I'm concerned, is a giant crime scene, and that's something you can ferret out with minimal investigation. But
by the way, my show "Truth Behind the Moon Landing" for Science Channel is on Science Channel right now as we speak. I had to play the crazy John DeSousa conspiracy guy who believed the moon landings were fake. That was really fun. That show's on right now. Actually, it's been on all afternoon. So check that out over on Science.
He loves watching his shows. I would too.
Well, I do, and it's like, I mean, I was like, I do not believe the moon landings were fake, John. I think we disagree about that, but they asked me to do this part, and I was like, well, if in the end we ultimately get to what I think is the truth, then I was willing to do it. I tried to speak for the John DeSousas of the world on that show and say, well, what about this?
That's very important. That's very important to do, Mike. I appreciate it.
It's really interesting, because as we were shooting the very last day of shooting, and this is the kind of story you're going to get at the Disclosure Experience 2025. At the last day, we were shooting a thing about a guy named Thomas Barron. Now, Thomas Barron issued a 500-page report to Congress about the Apollo 1 fire, in which 3 astronauts were killed in 1967. And he basically said, I was telling these guys for years that this was a problem, this was a problem, this was a problem, that was a problem. Nobody paid attention. I was ignored. He went through the whole litany, right? And then he and his family, except for one daughter, were killed when a train, get this, comes out of the NASA railroad pool and hits his car on the train tracks in Florida, where it got stuck and killed him and everybody else except one daughter, who absolutely wouldn't talk to us about it. So at the end of the shooting, we're sitting there, and we've got this guy, Chad Jenkins, who was an FBI guy. He was no John DeSousa. Let me just tell you, John.
I hear that.
And Leland Melvin. Leland is proof that you can be dumb as a post and they can still put you in space and call you an astronaut. Anyway, so we're going through this whole thing, and they're telling me, oh, this is an accident. It was just an accident. And, here's the report, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And we got done, and we were done filming. everything's breaking down. You know, they're clearing the set and everything. And about 15 minutes after we'd stopped, I look at the report again. I'm just standing around talking to people, and I look, and the report is titled homicide report, not accident report. It was a homicide report. And I'm like, I don't think cops would call an accident a homicide if it wasn't a homicide. So they investigated it as a homicide, and then somebody told them to back off. Anyway, that's the kind of thing that I would love to talk to you about.
Happens every day.
We're gonna have in these discussions. We're gonna have at Disclosure Experience is we're gonna be able to go in depth on this stuff. We're gonna pull that report up, John, and we're gonna go through it. And you know, we're going to talk about whether or not this guy was deliberately killed to silence him as part of them covering up the entire moon landing thing. It's exactly. Something that, you know, it's the kind of information that unless you have an FBI agent, you know, right there to help you with, that you know, you can't have this kind of discussion unless you got somebody who knows what they're talking about. Because I'm no cop.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It's gonna be so exciting, dude. I can't wait. For those that are wanting to go, I'm going to show the promo at the end of the show tonight. And if you go to the website, you can purchase your tickets there for all the individual events. Do know that the price includes hotel, food, open bar, entertainment, the speakers, the ranch, the bus. So it is a pretty good deal. We break it down, and you can do it in payments if you wanted to. If it's you just want to do a little down now today and then pay the rest later, you can do that. So go check it out on the website. It's this is the Fly website. It's going to be 1028 Productions -, the little dash thing, productions.com/DE5. It's at the bottom of the screen. So it's been scrolling, and you can just go from there. And it is only 20 people per weekend. So if this is something you would really want to do, now's the time to act. There will be a deadline of April 20th. If need be, we could push it back a little further, but we need that time to get everything together, know who's going to be coming which weekend, so we can make it the most magical, fun, exciting, thrilling experience weekend you've had in a while.
Cool.
Watch
the vid.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to see this myself.
All right. Let's do that, man.
Great stuff.
And apologies in advance. My narrator has a little attitude. And here we go. All right.
Have you ever attended a large conference or event with hundreds of attendees? One that features notable speakers that you hope to ask a single question or at least get an autograph or selfie? Well, the time has come for the opportunity of a lifetime. 1028 Productions and Entertainment is pleased to announce our exclusive inclusive events occurring each weekend in May and June 2025. These events will be held at a private 40-acre ranch in the White Mountains of Arizona. You and 19 other VIP guests will have a once-in-a-lifetime weekend to spend quality time with prominent speakers. The weekend includes discussions, activities, workshops, UFO watching, campfires, meals, barbecues, and nightly entertainment. Scheduled to attend are Tony Rodriguez, James C. Goodall, Michael Schratt.
You're going to DE 25.
Ben Chasteen, Brad Olson, David Nino Rodriguez, Ryan Patrick Burns.
Holy shit.
Oh yes, but wait, there's more. Travis Walton, Quincy Roser, Rex Bear, Brooks Agnew, Mike Barra, J.J. Ainsworth, Marina Seren.
So many to choose from.
Can I continue? Laura Eisenhower, Lily Nova, Daryl James, Aaron Kuhn, and Tyler Kiwala, Jeff Harmon, Camille James Harmon, John DeSousa, Tom Reed, Christopher LaPrath, and Michael Mazzola. Your registration fee covers meals, lodging, and open bar, and musical entertainment on Saturday and Sunday nights. Lodging will be provided at our local hotel, the Green Tree Inn, for said weekend. April 20th is the final deadline. For more detailed information and to register for one of these events, go to 1028productions.com/DEE25. Reserve your spot today, as there is limited availability.
Well, that sounds cool. Who could resist that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a heck of a lineup, and it's going to be like nothing else.
Wow, that sounds awesome. And Doc, you'll let me know if you need me to fill in for one of the other weekends there. That looks pretty wild.
Yeah, we could fit you in.
Awesome.
And I'm also a projector and a big inflatable screen. So if you want to be out in the patio, put it out in front of the patio and under the stars if you want. Possibilities are endless. So yeah, everything's gonna be nice and green. I was gonna put footage of the land, but we just got the snow, so everything's done right now. So I didn't want to project that.
No, you don't want to suggest to people it's going to be snowing up there when they get there. So
Right. That's and that was my mistake with October, but so I'm really looking forward to it. And John, we'll talk about squeezing in somewhere else as well. Have you mixed it up a little bit, so that way it's unique for everybody.
The first weekend is me and Laura and John, and that'll be the awesome and Tom. That'll be the awesome weekend. You want to go to that one, folks. That's
the one.
So John, I've got May 16th and Rex Bear with May 30th through June 1st, and that's what I got available. So I mean, we'll go over it again, but that's what I have.
Cool. That'd be great.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love me some Rex. That's I
got to get him on too, and get Nino on, and I think he wants me on the show. I was like, you want me on your show? But so I'm gonna try to get on a bunch of shows and promote as well. And man, I'm kind of in a daze because of what you guys talked about, just a lick of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the debate, especially with the stuff that came out. Let's talk about this. We got some time. We got about another 10 minutes. Let's talk about the JFK release of the files. What do you have you guys looked at them yet?
Actually, Doc, I've got to go in about 5 minutes. I actually do have to go.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
The thing is that so far is that the new JFK documents don't seem to move the ball forward at all. I mean, all I've seen is people trying to say, it was Israel and Mossad. There's like 4 documents out of 80,000 that even mention Israel. And I don't think that's a very strong case. But if you're looking to support your pet theory, I think you can find something in there. What I find fascinating is as I do searches, there's still no information on for instance, Beverly Oliver, who was the babushka lady on the grass shooting film of the grassy knoll, right? And tells his story that the FBI asked her for her film, took it, and of course she never saw it again. She's not mentioned in the documents. The people that are mentioned are, there's some stuff there about Alan Dulles, who was on the Warren Commission, but everybody's like, oh, well, the CIA killed Kennedy, and because the CIA is mentioned here or there, some Cuban agent thinks it was the CIA that did it, is mentioned in a document. That's not really evidence, right? But what I'm afraid of is that everybody's going to get to a certain point and go, well, it was, Roger Stone. Oh, well, it was Lyndon Johnson and CIA. And nobody is asking the question that they should be asking is, who gave the order? Because there is nothing in any of these new documents or the old ones that says where the order came from. So if the CIA is going to conduct a hit on John F. Kennedy, who gave him the order? Who within CIA gave the order? And that's the thing, John, is that it was not within CIA. There was another group, and we all know who they are. They used to call them Majestic 12 or MJ12. They're the ones who gave the order. My pet theory is because Kennedy was going to go to the moon with the Russians and put an end to the Cold War, among other things, and also share whatever we found on the moon, which, believe me, ain't going to be rocks. It's going to be technology left over. So, nobody's asking that question that I think needs to be asked is, well, who gave the order to CIA? Because I'm not going to argue that CIA was the muscle. I'm not going to argue that maybe they didn't hire some mob guys to be involved at different levels. But if you look at the history of the documents of the National Security Action Memos, where Kennedy said, we basically said, we have a deal with the Russians to go to the moon together. And 10 days later, they killed him. It could be that this thing was so haphazard that they basically decided that's the last straw on November 12th, 1963, and executed this operation on November 22nd, 1963, which is why it's such a cock-up, why it's such a, there's so many holes in the assassination, and the cover-up was so poor. So, I mean, to me, that's what's reinforced, but people just, CIA is not the top of the food chain. We need to get to the people behind them, because that is the question that's not being asked.
There is one other, though, and it's been going around and it's been getting traction, and I want your opinion on it. It's that extra frame where people say, and it looks like it to me, but I want your thoughts, where the driver is turning around, and when he does that, that's when the fatal shot happens.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that he turned and he fired.
It's a fake AI video. Okay, that's a fake video. Okay. And you can tell by the way they zoom up. You're actually, the bright spot is a reflection off of his wristwatch as he turns around like this. That would, by the way, almost be an impossible shot. It's a far easy. I've stood behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll where Dallas police officer J.D. Tippett took the fatal headshot, the badge man, as they call him. That's a way easier shot than the guy doing this and shooting Kennedy in the head. So that's again, it's a fake video. They've used AI to add to it and stuff. It's not a real video. The actual Zapruder film, you can see him turn around, and yeah, there's a little reflection, which is just off of his wristwatch. And it's also pretty clear from other sources like the Marie Muchmore film, which nobody ever talks about. You could actually do a stop frame, which I've done, and you can actually see blood coming from spraying in front of Kennedy's head. The front of his hair is pushed up like this. The back of his head is completely untouched. And that means that she captured a frame where the bullet is partially already inside his skull here. Wow. And not come out the back yet. And you know, nobody ever talks about the Marie Muchmore film. And I'm like, it's right there. I just did a frame capture, and you can see this red spray. So you can tell then he was shot from above and the grassy knoll, not from some sewer drain, which would be almost an impossible shot. And John, I don't know. I'm not an expert marksman, but I do think the left-handed shot with the gun, even if that wasn't such an obviously fake video, is basically almost impossible. Am I crazy, or you're the FBI guy?
I mean, no, of course not. It would be a very difficult shot from there, but the CGI question is determinative of the whole issue anyway. So you don't need to go any further than that. I mean, once you give something a good look and you're like, okay, this is a CGI remake, then basically there's no other issues need to be dealt with there, and that's done. That's done. Like similar to when I saw the landing of the Elon of the astronauts on that ocean with the ribbons in the air that were supposed to be parachutes, and you just look at that, and I looked at that, and the way that it looked seemed very familiar to me. And then I got a very young person to come and look at it with me, a person who has played Call of Duty and all these sophisticated video games. And I realized this scene that they showed on television, it looked like it was taken directly from the latest really visual realistic
like simulator or something like that.
3D simulators games that have been on there. And it was just patently, and once the younger person pointed it out to me, it was extremely obvious that whole scene with the dolphins that just came suddenly
on cue.
On cue, that like with the angels' voices singing in the background, and
then
are we gonna have some discussion?
You had the ship that's shifting in the water, but there's no foam, there's no splash, there's no hidden, there's no artifacts of what would normally be in there, and the only artifact that made it look CGI was this incredible, weird, smooth blendiness of everything together, where it
Yeah,
all
it's too
seemed to
clean.
flow together like a photo visual, realistic 5D game. That's what it looked like. So, you know, you just go where the evidence shows you. That's it.
Yeah.
And
We're
then
gonna have a great weekend, a great discussion. Doc, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta do this other thing. I have to get.
All right, man. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you soon. Okay.
Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. All right,
Thanks
and
so
you guys
much.
get
Thank
signed
you.
up for this weekend, for all these weekends. They're going to be just incredible. So
Yes,
absolutely go
yes.
there.
It sounds freaking crazy. It's gonna be awesome. All
Awesome.
right.
All right.
right.
Thanks,
Bye,
All right,
Doc.
well, John, Mike, thanks for joining us. I'll talk
Thanks.
to you guys here soon. All right.
All righty.
Take care.
Take care,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Take-
All right. I always can't find the button.